Okay, we're going to hear about the local protests of the terrorist kidnapping organization that Trump's sponsoring, promoting, and inflicting upon us.
And from the Cy Sims Foundation, since 1985, towards a fairer, more just, and civil society. More information is available at
We just had a good interview with Tim Walz, Governor Walz, America's dad.
This is All Things Considered.
And he was great.
We turn now to news out of Washington, where the Justice Department says that it's releasing more than 3 million pages of
Epstein.
tied to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This is happening under the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
Oh, it's under the act.
Last year, requiring the Justice Department to make all of the Epstein files public.
But they didn't do it. They broke the law.
Lucas is covering this and joins us now. I'm Ryan. Okay, so it was the deputy.
What were the consequences for breaking the law when they wrote that law?
Today, right? What did he have to say?
Well, 3 million pages of materials today. He says that brings the total amount the department has released under the Epstein law to around 3.5 million pages. Here's a bit of what Blanche said.
Today's release marks the end of a very comprehensive document identification and review process to ensure transparency to the American people and compliance with the act.
Now, he said more than 500 lawyers and other DOJ employees work nights, weekends, also holidays to go through and review all of these materials. And there were a lot of files to review. Lance said it was the equivalent of 2 Eiffel Towers worth of pages if stacked up.
Wow.
And NPR has a team of going through the files.
You should have got working on it earlier then, shouldn't you?
That is a lot of files for the NPR team. Okay, well, the Justice Department has gotten a lot of criticism for its handling of the Epstein files, like over its redactions.
Is anybody going to report on what's in the files they released, about what it says about Trump?
That was outlined under the law. Did Blanche respond to any of those criticisms?
Yes, he spelled out as the redactions were made as the law allows for things like personally identifiable information of Epstein's victims or pornographic material. Blanche said today that the confidant, she was convicted in 2021 of sex trafficking for helping Epstein abuse underage girls. Now, Blanche said that
they'll probably try to make her the special master.
This big. Mistakes are, as he put it, inevitable. The Justice Department has not yet provided a summary of the redactions that it made and the legal basis for them as the law requires. Blanche said that will happen.
So they're breaking the law again.
Okay, well,
in due time. No, due time was a month ago,
bitch. Has been a constant topic of conversation. They were friends for years before there was a falling out. Did Blanche address concerns that the Justice Department might be withholding embarrassing information about Trump in these files?
Well, he was asked point blank whether Trump was treated the same as everyone else who appears in the files and whether everything in there related to him is being released. It was a pertinent question in part because Blanche himself previously served as Trump's personal defense attorney. Now, Blanche replied that the department complied with the law. He also denied that the DOJ protected Trump in any way. He also at one point said this.
There's this mantra out there that, the Department of Justice is supposed to protect Donald J. Trump. And that's what we were telling. That's not true. That was never the case.
Mantra?
We are always concerned about the victims.
No, you're just
he
lying.
Said there's a hunger for information out there that won't be satisfied by the release of these files. Now, some of that hunger, it has to be said, has been fueled by Trump and other top administration.
The hunger for the rest of the files.
Including at the Justice Department, because of the conspiracy theories that they've pushed over the years about what could be in these files.
And before we go, Ryan, I want to turn quickly to something that Blanche said about Minnesota. He now says the Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation into the killing of
last weekend, administration officials said DHS was leading the Pretty investigation. There was no FBI civil rights probe. Now we have, as you said, a reverse. Blanche says the FBI is investigating. It's in coordination with the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. I will say that the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, also brushed off questions about whether the FBI would conduct a similar investigation into the killing of Renee Macklin Good, the other U.S. citizen fatally shot in Minneapolis by federal agents this month. Blanche said cases are handled differently depending on the circumstances.
Well, those circumstances are terrorizing us.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
This is All Things Considered from CPR News and KRCC. I'm Nathan Fernando Frescas. Students, teachers, and workers were among the many who came out across the country today to protest immigration enforcement. CPR's Molly Cruz was out covering protests in Denver today and joins me now live. Molly, you started at the state capitol. Why?
Because like violence is violence and people are people. And I think that's why a lot of students showed up today, because we're just sick of injustice and the inhumane actions like of our government.
And some of their teachers were out there protesting too.
I see.
Thanks,
And
American
why do you think this
Heroes
protest
protesting Trump.
resonated so much with this specific crowd?
Yeah, one thing I heard a lot is that some of the stuff they've learned in class, like about the Constitution and history, helped inspire these students to come out as part of these nationwide protests.
People who
And then
just
there's
learned
what
about the
happened in
Constitution,
Minneapolis lately
standing
is
up
still
for it.
on people's
Thanks.
minds, especially the shooting deaths of 2 U.S. citizens by federal agents. I will say CPR News heard from a lot of parents too. Some were really frustrated that schools decided to close today. Others thought this was an appropriate reason in order to make sure people could come out and have their voices heard.
Now, a second protest was also held this afternoon. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, this was at La Alma. All kinds of people from around the community turned out. It was an older crowd, a lot of people be there. I will say this community is really rooted in Chicano culture and history. Here's Alicia Salzar.
I think that we can all see that there is a certain group of people, meaning like all brown people, being targeted by ICE. And so yeah, like it was never about deporting criminals. Yeah, right now they're going after everybody.
I also spoke with military veteran named Robert Walker.
Proud graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, and I signed an oath to serve and protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That means
ICE does not align with that mission, and it needs to end.
the military will side with
This
the American
protest
people
was
if they get
even
deployed
bigger
to
than the one
American
at the
cities.
Capitol. I'd
They'll
say at
side with
least
the American people
2,000
against
people.
ICE,
And instead
the
of
domestic
marching on the
terrorist
streets,
organization.
people gathered
It is
at
a
the
war
park
on
to listen
terror.
to speakers and
Well,
organizers.
the terrorists have been
and the
identified, the
amazing
ICE
thing I'm
agents.
seeing here, it was not just students. There were students at the first one, but at the second one, it was with people from all over the community. What are protesters hoping to achieve with actions like you saw today?
I think they're really hoping that community gathering together, it really helps bring folks together and talking about other actions they can take, like calling and speaking to their representatives. And more protests are planned around the country for tomorrow.
And I'm gonna throw a question there for you. Anything else that stood out to you today? Because you were right in the thick of it this afternoon.
I think the fact that a
The
lot of young
protest.
people were there really brought the energy level up. People were really talking amongst themselves about things that they can do and how they can help their community members gather together and speak out against the injustices that they're seeing.
All right, thanks CPR's Molly Cruz. For more on today's protest, come to krcc.org or CPR.
Thanks everybody for protesting. We got to stop Trump and these domestic terrorists. Everybody's signing up to fight ICE. That's the great thing about it. All the military that show up and all the veterans in the community
So glad you're
are
along
going to go
this
up,
Friday
fight
evening.
ICE.
Small
Fuck those
businesses in the country have been taking to